3 years ago, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 disappeared with 239 people on board on a trip from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, China. Recently, Phil Stone asked us on Facebook whatever happened to the plane that disappeared supposedly over Australia. Well, Phil, after fruitless searches by Australia, China, and Malaysia, the disappearance of MH370 remains one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. But it may not be forever. Correspondent Doug McElway reports tonight on whatever happened to MH370.
Since it disappeared on March 8, 2014, MH Flight 370 has remained one of the most puzzling aviation accidents in history. Tantalizing evidence like this flaperon and other confirmed pieces found on Reunion Island east of Madagascar have revealed little and only serve to remind of the Indian Ocean's strong currents and inhospitable vastness. Searches have cost governments hundreds of millions of dollars and have proved fruitless.
Going forward, the question is really going to be who's going to continue to fund this search. Water recoveries can be extremely expensive, but I would absolutely say that the private sector can bring resources and new techniques and technologies forward.
Now, a private company is doing just that. Ocean Infinity, which specializes in state-of-the-art remotely piloted vehicles, is finalizing a contract with the Malaysian government under which it would be paid only if it finds the wreckage. Even absent a cause, the disappearance has led to calls for new safety changes, foremost of which is sending real-time data from planes in flight.
Technology can tell me where the nearest Starbucks is. We have got to adapt some of that satellite-based technology to aircraft.
The impediments are huge. Flight data recorders, which once compiled 6 data points, now compile hundreds. And while airliners can easily download satellite data for internet and TV, uploading data requires pinpoint accuracy from a fast-moving plane. Multiply that across a sky full of planes, and it taxes bandwidth and airline budgets.
I think you start with the premise that you want this technology, if you want it at all, with respect to airplanes that are out of radar contact for long periods of time, and that's transoceanic flights.
One of the many theories of what brought the plane down is fire. In fact, the FAA is now urging the world's airlines to ban large laptops from checked luggage because of the potential for lithium battery fires. MH370 was carrying 487 pounds of lithium-ion batteries in its cargo hold.
Oh, shit.
This is the Weird Shit Podcast.
Is that a joint, man?
And I wouldn't flaunt your ignorance.
Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
I don't know if you guys saw or not, but the new Roseanne show started this week.
Yeah, I saw it.
Like, I used to like old Roseanne a lot.
Same.
So I was like, I was thinking about giving this one a try. And, like, Trump is, like, taking credit for, like, the ratings that the show got. Like, that it got such good ratings. He's like, that's because me. I did that. But, like, so I was, like, looking more about, like, Roseanne as a person. And I feel really bad that I used to watch her show.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Like she just is, like, there's lots of really, like, problematic shit that she says all the time. But the big thing was I found a photo shoot where she was dressed like Hitler and baking little, like, gingerbread man cookies that she called smoking Jew cookies.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like, holy shit, Roseanne, like, what is the point of that? Like, what was that supposed to be? Like, that photo shoot, like, why does that exist? And I was just like, God damn.
I suppose the signs were there.
Yeah, like, I guess we should have known, but...
Should have known she was a Trump-supporting Nazi.
Like, how the fuck? Like, like literally smoking Jew cookies. She's in like a Hitler uniform, like her hair to the side and like the little mustache and shit.
Jesus
like
Christ.
pulling cookies out of the oven. And I'm like, whoa, what? Like, what the fuck? Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast. This is Mike.
This is Ryan.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? How you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah? That sounds pretty yeah.
yeah.
We got Comrade Snips walking
What up,
over.
Snips?
Yeah, what up, Snips? So, today we're going to be talking about something that when I first decided to do this episode, I was like, nah, it's going to be boring as shit. But as I started looking into it, this is pretty ridiculous. Like, we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. So, what do you know about Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, Palmer?
It flew directly into the sun.
That's a good theory. Flew too close to the sun and just burst into flames.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, that's it for us. Have a good one. So, what do you know about it, Ryan?
Honestly, I get all of the missing airlines confused, so I don't remember which one this is.
This is the one that went from Malaysia
To nowhere.
to the sun.
Malaysia to the depths of Tartarus. So, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was a scheduled international passenger flight that disappeared on the 8th of March of 2014 while flying from Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia to its destination of Beijing, China, which should have been a real quick flight. It shouldn't have taken... shouldn't have been that big of a fucking deal.
Isn't Kuala Lumpur one of the anchors on CNN?
No, I think it's a town in Australia.
I thought it's one of the
Kuala Lumpur.
I thought it's one of the bounty hunters from Star Wars.
Probably.
Kuala Lumpur. It's like a koala with cyborg arms. That would be fucking
Kuala
dope.
Lumpur shot first.
No koala disintegrations.
He says he agrees. So
He said something anti-Semitic.
I don't want to repeat it.
I think he said, "I love Roseanne's."
It's pretty anti-Semitic. So, it was a Boeing 777-200ER. Do you know what a Boeing 777 is, Palmer?
Yeah.
Palmer's our resident plane expert.
There's one that goes from Raleigh to London every day.
Oh, it's that one?
Yep.
That thing's big as hell. It's a big-ass fucking plane.
Is that like a lucky plane? 777?
Not for them.
Not for them. It's basically a big-ass aircraft that seats around 300 people. It's like between like 250 and like 280 something. So
It's that Dash 200ER. That's what fucked it up. If you just left the 777, it'd have been fine.
that'd be good. So basically the plane last made voice contact with air traffic control at 1:19 Malaysian time, and when it was over the South China Sea, and then less than an hour after takeoff was the last time that it made contact. Then it disappeared from air traffic control radar screens at about 1:22, so 3 minutes later. But it was still on military radar, and it started going west from its like planned flight path, and it crossed the Malay Peninsula until it left the range at 2:22 while over the Andaman Sea, and it was 200 nautical miles northwest of Penang in northwestern Malaysia.
You say the Anime Sea?
Yeah, the Anime Sea and Andaman Sea.
The Weeaboo Ocean.
Yeah, the Strait of Weeaboo.
The hentai sound. Wait, no. Not.
So this thing like takes off less than an hour after takeoff. It's like, hey yo, what up? We see you on radar, and then they like cut and then like disappear. Basically, the aircraft was carrying 12 Malaysian crew members and 227 different passengers from 15 different nations. Basically, a whole bunch of countries got together to help look for this because everybody had like a vested interest in what happened to this plane. They started the search in the Gulf of Thailand and the South China Sea, which was like the last place they picked up the signal from it. And then they extended that to the Strait of Malacca in the Andaman Sea. And when they looked at the satellite communications between the aircraft and the like communication for 819 and flew south into the southern Indian Ocean, although the precise location can't be determined. Yeah, this thing flew like another like 7 hours before
just out into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Some weird shit.
On March 24th, the Malaysian government noted the final location determined by the satellite is far from any possible landing sites and concluded that it ended up in the southern Indian Ocean. From October of 2014 to January of 2017, a comprehensive survey of 120,000 square kilometers, or 46,000 square miles of seafloor, and about 1,800 kilometers, or 1,100 miles southwest of Perth, and Western Australia had found no evidence of the aircraft. And then they found some debris off the coast of Africa on 29th of July of 2015.
Some debris off the coast of
Africa. That's what it is. They were just listening to Toto, and like the
for
pilot
7
just
straight
got
hours.
an overwhelming urge. It just had to go to Africa. They didn't have enough fuel.
So did they make it?
No.
Some of them.
So they actually found debris all over the place, over by off the coast of Madagascar and also by Tanzania and Mozambique. So like,
it's a woody word.
It went all over the place.
I'm not a
like,
geology.
from this
Where
plane.
are those places?
I have a map, which I'll put on our website. But since podcasting is a auditory medium, Madagascar is off of the east coast of Tanzania and Mozambique.
East Coast?
East Coast?
That's where lemurs are from.
Yeah, it is. The fucking joke. The lemurs took down the plane.
They did.
I saw that movie.
Yeah.
If penguins can fly one, I'm sure lemurs can take one down.
They got surface-to-air missiles all over that island.
Can't trust a lemur. So,
I'll play that game, Contagion. They don't let nobody near that island.
They're like, hell no. With the loss of 239 people on board, Flight 370 is the second deadliest incident involving a Boeing 777, and the second deadliest incident in Malaysian Airlines history, behind Flight 17, which is the one that was shot down by the Russians. Allegedly shot down by the Russians.
The separatists.
Yeah. So they have like the two deadliest Boeing 777 incidents.
Anybody ask me I want to fly to Malaysia? I'm going to be like, nah.
That's what people did. People quit buying tickets for them. And
I'll drive.
It ended up being renationalized by the end of 2014. Like, they basically lost their independence. So
seems like that's a pretty good reason, though.
Yeah, I mean, it does. The disappearance prompted the International Civil Aviation Organization to adopt new standards for aircraft position reporting over open ocean, and extended recording time for cockpit voice recorders, and starting from 2020 will require new aircraft designs to have a means to recover the flight recorders or the information they contain before they sink below the water. So they're going to put in like James Bond ejector seats to shoot out the black box. Fuck everybody inside, but you better get that black box out of there. Like, I think what we need to start working on is that foam from Demolition Man when he wrecks the car. Just fill every plane with that, so that like when they wreck, they're just like in place, like perfectly safe.
Why are we not funding this?
Yeah, why are we not funding that shit? That'd be perfect. There were 227 passengers, 152 of which were Chinese citizens, including a group of 19 artists with 6 family members and 4 staff who were at a calligraphy exhibition in Kuala Lumpur. 38 passengers were Malaysian, and the remaining passengers were from 13 different countries. 20 passengers, 12 of whom were from Malaysia and 8 from China, were employees of Freescale Semiconductor, which is apparently an American multinational corporation headed in Austin, Texas, with design, research and development, manufacturing and sales operations in more than 75. So it's like a big old spooky corporation.
Yeah.
It's what they're working for big old spooky core.
Business International.
Yeah. We do business things. What do they do? Business stuff.
Engineering.
We sell and buy goods and things.
Not people.
Products.
Not people.
They include a range of fully programmable wireless charging chips and reference designs for consumer and automotive applications. That's apparently what they do.
Yeah, I believe it.
So they
We
could
make chips.
see. I would
Pringles
like a remote control
semiconductors.
chip. Like a wireless remote control chip would be dope because then I could just fly it into my mouth. I wouldn't even have to use my hands anymore.
Rocket powered bugles.
Like, how would you get the kettle cooked ones though? Wouldn't that fry out any of the stuff you need to make it Wi-Fi?
You gotta kettle cook them in a low surface orbit.
That makes sense. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Maybe that's what they were doing. They were just trying to kettle cook some chips.
And everybody died.
And then everybody died. That's not their fault.
Alright, turn on the fryer.
The whole thing just explodes as soon as they turn on the fryer. That's why they were in low surface orbit and it exploded, which is why the shit went all the way to like Tanzania and fucking like Madagascar and shit.
They just slowly floated back down into the atmosphere from gravity.
So, the aircraft's final automated position and last transmission was sent at 1:06, and among the data provided in the message was the total fuel remaining, which was 96,600 pounds. The final verbal contact with air traffic control occurred at 1:19 when Captain Shah acknowledged a handover by Lumpur radar to Ho Chi Minh. Lumpur radar, Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9, good night. Flight 370, good night, Malaysian 370. That's the last thing he said. They made calls to the flight's cockpit at 2:39 and 7:13, and they were unanswered, but acknowledged by the aircraft's satellite data unit. So the satellite data unit is like, yeah, man, I got that, but like nobody's answering the calls that air traffic control made to them.
Oh, sorry, the calls were to the plane that weren't answered.
Yeah.
How long of a time passed between the two?
It was like 6 hours. It was from like 1 something to 7 something. So, like, it's like kind of weird.
How long of a plane ride was it? The initial.
It was supposed to be a quick one.
How quick?
Let's see if I can figure out how quick it should have been. I'm not sure. I'm looking. I don't see anything that says. Oh, okay. It's scheduled to depart at 0:35 local time and arrive at 6:30 local time.
So like 3 hours?
Yeah.
Well, that was both local time?
Yeah, they're both local time. They look like they're in the same time zone, +8. So it should have been like a 6-hour flight, basically. Here it is. Planned flight duration, 5 hours, 34 minutes. Which would have consumed an estimated 82,000 pounds of jet fuel. They had plenty of spare fuel to like get there when they checked in.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been in that much trouble. But so yeah, literally this looking at the flight path that this thing took, it's like going like beeline for China, and then it goes woo and like goes back down and then starts headed out west. So it's like he's like, nope, U-turn, and then like starts headed out west for some reason. He was like right, just a little ways away from Kuala Lumpur again, where he decided to turn west. That's how far back he turned.
It was just like, psych.
Yeah, so it's a boomerang plane. That's the problem. They shouldn't have shaped it like a boomerang.
Exactly.
So it just ends up coming right back. Yeah, they searched for like years to find anything on this, and the most recently, in January of this year, a private U.S. company called Ocean Infinity announced it's going to resume the search in the narrowed 25,000 kilometer area. Square kilometer. I said skilometer. Skilometer is pretty dope.
That's a dope word. Skilometer.
I'm going to say skilometer from now on, just to piss off all our international listeners. Skilometer. Yeah, the Ocean Infinity chartered the Norwegian ship Seabed Constructor to conduct the search. The first item of debris identified from coming from Flight 370 was the right starboard flapperon.
That's a thing?
Yeah, it's a flapperon. It sounds like if I was naming parts of a plane.
That's the flapperon.
That's the flapperon. And it's exactly the part you think it is. It's like on the back of the wing that helps control altitude. It's a flapperon, apparently. I wonder if there's inner and outer flapperons, though, because this one is like on the armpit part of the plane, not on the arm part of the plane.
Wait, what?
The flapperon.
Flapperon.
What about them?
I don't know if there's inner and outer flapperons, or how that works, because this one is like on the armpit part of the plane and not the wing part of the plane.
What happened to the flapperons?
So they found the first piece of debris.
Yeah, that's the first piece of debris they found. It was discovered at the end of July of 2015 on a beach in St. Andre on Reunion Island in the West Indian Ocean. It was about 4,000 kilometers west of the underwater search area.
Yeah, so ocean current had already dispersed all the wreckage way far away from where it went down.
Yeah, or it went further away. Could be that too. Because it was still giving off a signal for like 6 hours after they initially lost radar contact. So it's like, nah, I'm still going. This is like what it sent back to the tower. So I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, basically they checked it against the serial numbers for Flight 370, and it like lined up. So they were like, "Oh shit, that's Flight 370." And then they found parts from the right stabilizer and right wing in February of 2016. It was found off the coast of Mozambique. The fragment was sent to Australia, where experts identified it as almost certainly a horizontal stabilizer panel from MH370. In December of 2015, Liam Lauder found a great piece of debris on a beach in southern Mozambique. Only after he read about it did he tell authorities that he had found it. So
he just found it and then looked into what it was.
He found it and was like, "This thing is dope, I'm going to keep it." And then when February of 2016 rolled around and this other dude found a piece, he was like, "Oh shit, maybe this is a piece of that too."
Yeah.
And so he like turned it into authorities, and it was. So it was apparently part of the flap track fairing.
Flap track?
Flap track.
They got flapperons and flap tracks.
Apparently, the location where both pieces were retrieved was found to be consistent with the drift model performed by CSIRO. Yeah, that makes sense that it would have drifted that far.
Gotcha.
So, they also found another piece on Reunion Island. They found another piece in Mossel Bay, South Africa, that has an unmistakable partial logo of Rolls-Royce, which was the manufacturer of the engines of the missing aircraft. They also found some on Rodriguez in Mauritius, and another guy found what could possibly be debris from the aircraft at a location on Kangaroo Island, southern Australia. So,
I wonder if that island has kangaroos on it.
Nah, not in Australia.
All spiders.
Gotcha. You thought it
The
was gonna be
spiders just
kangaroos.
paint the sign Kangaroo Island just to like trick people.
It's actually a spider island with all the kangaroos.
They just don't want anyone to know. They're like cleverly dressed in kangaroo costumes, like waiting for people to land.
Wait, kangaroos don't have 8 legs.
Ah! Why is that kangaroo hanging by a web?
It's a pouch.
Ah! So, yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Well, we have sort of a bizarre developing story here, and it all surrounds the recovery efforts and the search for the long-missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Now, if you guys don't remember, basically, Airlines Flight 370 was an international commercial airliner that disappeared over the ocean back on March 8th, 2014, while flying from Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia to its destination, Beijing Capital International Airport in China. The aircraft, which was a Boeing 777, made one final voice contact with air traffic control at about 1:19 Malaysian time on March 8th, when it was over the South China Sea, and less than an hour after takeoff. The aircraft disappeared from air traffic controllers' radar screens, but was still tracked on military radar as it deviated westwards from its planned flight path and crossed the Malay Peninsula until it left the range at around 2:22 while over the Andaman Sea. And yeah, it's just terrible. The plane just completely vanished. It was carrying 12 Malaysian crew members and 227 souls on board. And so many of you who maybe follow the conspiracy community will know when this happened back in 2014, it was one of the biggest conspiracy theory stories ever, pretty much, and it still continues to this day. And it's almost as if the world opened up and swallowed this plane. I mean, it just vanished. And of course, this was followed by a multinational search effort, which was the largest and the most expensive aviation search in history. And since then, there have been countless theories as to what happened, whether it was just a simple crash, although the recovery effort and the fact that they just couldn't find this thing led many people to believe that maybe it entered some sort of dimensional rift, or that it had been abducted by a UFO. I mean, it was creepy, and it still continues to be creepy, despite what any of the theories and speculations say. But basically, we've never found anything, except for a few scattered pieces of debris from the plane here and there. Nothing in the past 3 years. And in today's story, even more bizarre, was that there was a search vessel that was out in the ocean in the area where the plane had last been seen. It was searching, when suddenly its monitoring system turned off, and it turned off for 3 days. In other words, this search ship disappeared for 3 days out in the ocean. And so according to the report here, the ship, which goes by the name Seabed Constructor, was out searching for Malaysia's airline flight MH370 when it disappeared from tracking screens for 3 days after it turned off its own satellite monitoring system with no explanation. At the beginning of January, the US-based company Ocean Infinity was hired by the Malaysian government to search for the missing plane. Its ship, the Seabed Constructor, began the search on the 22nd of January, but on Thursday, after only 10 days, it turned off its automatic identification system, or AIS, with no explanation. 3 days later, it reappeared outside of the search area and on its way to a scheduled refueling stop at the Australian port of Fremantle. Neither the Malaysian government nor Ocean Infinity has explained the outage or where the ship went in those 3 days. Family members of those on board the missing flight have called on the Malaysian government and Ocean Infinity to explain the blackout, amid mounting speculation over the ship's movements over those 3 days that it had disappeared. One of the relatives of a victim on the flight called for greater transparency over the ship's temporary disappearance, saying, quote, "I found the development quite odd, and I'm worrying if this silence and becoming invisible was intentional to ward off suspicion, and a satisfactory explanation is due. If it was for other reasons, then in the interest of transparency, we ought to be told what caused it. There are no journalists and no family members on board the searched ship. We watch on in good faith, and I hope ongoing official disclosure is of such a high order that there is little room for speculation, controversy, or a whiff of conspiracy." Now, during this 3-day blackout that this ship disappeared, obviously conspiracy theories are spreading, with one stating that the ship also entered or was at least investigating some sort of time warp or dimensional rift in the area that swallowed up the original missing flight. Others have said that maybe the ship had taken a detour to recover a sunken treasure from the nearby wreck of the SV Inca, a Peruvian ship that sunk in 1911 while en route to Sydney. And so, yeah, something strange going on here, guys. Even the family members and the various relatives of the people who were on this flight that went missing so sadly 3 years ago are wondering why this search vessel went completely dark for 3 days. No one knew where it went, and then it just suddenly appears back on radar outside of the search area, heading back to refuel like nothing ever happened. They are silent. The Malaysian government is silent. What is going on? And so, like I said, it's bizarre, and I'm sure they'll come out with a very good explanation, which I'm sure they're dreaming up as we speak on the drawing board. I mean, what were they doing? Again, the disappearance of this plane is just one of those things. It's extremely mysterious. There's so many theories around it. You guys can Google it, look at all of the different theories and the facts yourself. But it's rare that we have a plane this big with so many people disappear out of nowhere. Hasn't been found in 3 years. We've got search vessels out here doing strange things, no transparency, disappearing off radar.
Okay, so now that all the dry shit is out of the way, now we get into the meat and potatoes part, the fun part of this shit. So, obviously, this has been like a big fucking deal that this plane disappeared with all these people on it from all these different countries, right? And they've been looking for it for years, and even, like, from what I can find, it seems like even when a plane goes down like that, it's usually not this hard to find. So this has given rise to, like, a bunch of different theories about what could have fucking happened to this plane.
I think something was wrong with the flapperonis.
Yeah, something happened with the flapperonis.
Couldn't steer at all.
They ended up like in the ocean. So
I bet you somebody accidentally put rigatoni on there.
Like, it's his first day on the job. He's like, this will work just as good. It's like, has like Elmer's glue and just sticking them to the plane.
Just pasta falling off the wings. Oh my god, the wings falling apart.
Like, some people think that the pilot even took the plane because he submitted a changed flight pattern and signed off on the fuel payload himself instead of the co-pilot having to even look at it. And
what do you call those, like, figurines that are made out of pasta? Like, they're little sculptures?
Spaghetti.
Macaroni sculptures?
Yeah, basicly that. Like, the pilot was just...
He was working for the macaroni people?
No, he was just not actually a pilot.
He was a macaroni person.
Yeah.
He was that fucking dinosaur from those old Kraft macaroni and cheese commercials. The, like, cheesy Saurus Rex
like,
or something.
Like, after the last call, you know, like during that 6-hour period, he had just put a macaroni replacement in his seat and just like jumped.
He's like, I hate my job.
Good luck, everybody.
Just jumps out. left the macaroni guy there to steer for him. It's been like brought up by a few different people that it could have just been a hijacking, although no group has ever claimed responsibility for it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was always thinking. Like, had to be some sort of hijacking gone wrong.
But there's like apparently 600 different runways that the plane could have landed at with the amount of fuel it had.
It's probably
based on where it was.
Like, we're taking this plane where I want it to go. Okay, where's that? Just fucking drive, man. Just fucking drive. And then never tells them where to go, so.
Yeah. Just keep flying, man. But where? Keep flying.
We're flying to blank. We don't have enough fuel to get there.
We're going to Vegas.
Exactly. Like, okay, that's what you want to do.
Put the bunny down. But that's a pretty dumb idea because, like, there was wreckage found from it. So it's like once that wreckage was positively identified as being part of MH370, it kind of makes it less likely that someone landed the plane intact somewhere.
Yeah.
So
they just, like, dropped a little bit of wreckage for to make it look like.
Apparently,
they just sprinkled a little bit of the flapperonis around.
It could have been electronic hijacking is another thing people think.
We've been hacked.
Because there's systems that are like in the B777 that are called like the flight management system. And basically, if you had access to the security system for the plane, you could basically override the autopilot, make the autopilot go where you wanted it to go.
Yeah, but they would also have to hack their communication systems.
Yeah. So there's
because
that.
Someone would have maybe mentioned that they lost the ability to control the plane, right? Like, they just went radio silent for a while. They weren't like, there's no record of them having, I guess they don't know if there was something wrong with the comm system or not, but
yeah, they don't know yet because they couldn't get. They haven't found the plane yet.
Yeah.
But it was just like quiet for like there was like a 6-hour period where it like didn't say.
It was like
anything.
6 hours of silence, and then
yeah, and then they checked back in with it again, and it's like, yeah, I'm still here, like, and that's it. So, like the pilot didn't respond, but the automated systems on the plane were like, yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah, so I don't know about that. I don't know about that hacking one.
There's also a conspiracy that says that the United States captured the plane and then flew it to a military base on the atoll of Diego Garcia. Apparently, some people think that it also could have just been shot down by that base because
Diego Garcia.
They thought it, because they thought it might have been a terrorist attack of some kind. Which, I guess.
Yeah, maybe if their comms are down, not responding, and then they just decide to shoot it down.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some people think that the pilot took over, locked the co-pilot out of the cockpit, and then crashed the plane, to commit suicide or something. Also, apparently he was suffering from depression and stuff, but a lot of people have depression and don't plow a plane full of 200-something people into the middle of the ocean. Some people think there could have been a fire that went off.
Oh, if it went off, it'd be fine. Now, if there was a fire that went on,
then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I'd be terrified.
Yeah. Apparently, they think that if there had been a fire on board the plane, that it would have made it crash too. Like a fire they couldn't put out in either the cockpit or the cargo area.
So I guess I should send my mixtape by boat.
Swish. Another great theory is that Pitbull and Shakira had actually predicted it with their song released in 2012 called "Get It Started," because of a line in the song that is, "Now it's off to Malaysia and 2 passports, 3 cities, 2 countries, 1 day. No Ali, no Frasier, but for now off to Malaysia."
MH370.
Which
no spaghetti.
was referred to
Show me that spaghetti.
Basically, they linked it to Mr. Ali, who was referred to by the press as one of the Iranian passengers, even though Malaysian authorities have confirmed that the 19-year-old passenger is actually called Puraya Normal Hamadi? Normal Hamadi. Then they also have linked the two passports to the stolen Australian and Italian passports used by two passengers to board the plane. Yeah, that's pretty much all they got.
Yeah.
So
I believe it.
There was also apparently like a article that was published that said that the pilot had reappeared in Taiwan but was unable to remember what had happened.
Yes.
But apparently that was satirical.
Oh.
So they claim. The newspaper's like, nah, it's satire. It's like, I don't think you know how satire works.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's not how satire works.
On the 9th of March of 2014, members of the Chinese news media received an open letter that claimed to be from the leader of the Chinese Martyrs Brigade, previously unknown group. The letter claimed that the loss of Flight 370 was in retaliation for the Chinese government's response to the knife attacks at Cumming Railway Station on the 1st of March of 2014. And part of the wider separatist campaign against Chinese control over Xinjiang province. The letter also listed unspecified grievances against the Malaysian government. The letter's claim was dismissed as fraudulent based on its lack of detail regarding the fate of Flight 370 and the fact that the name Chinese Martyrs Brigade appeared inconsistent with Uyghur separatist groups, which describe themselves as East Turkestan and Islamic rather than Chinese. So, what do you guys think so far? Any questions?
I'm a little confused on the separatists.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like I haven't heard anything else about that, or never heard that theory before either. So I don't think their plan worked too well. If it's true.
Yeah. Like, I think it was probably someone playing a prank.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
man, crashing a plane is a prank.
Just a prank, bro.
I mean, the letter from the separatists, but crashing the plane as a prank sounds like something Logan Paul would do. So I can totally see that. It's just a prank, bro.
The pilot's just in there like,
it's funny.
Like, yeah, I'm a Logan Paul fan. I plan on doing a pretty sweet prank today against all the passengers on board.
Logan Paul's like on the windshield, like
gonna prank their
making
lives,
like stupid faces against the windshield of the plane.
Just looking confused.
He goes to every single one of the families of the dead passengers. It was a prank, bro.
What's your fucking problem? It's a prank, bro.
Some people think that Putin knows.
If anybody does.
Because, let's see. A guy named Andre Milne said that Flight MH370 made a soft ditch landing in the Bay of Bengal in the Indian Ocean, and that the Russian president was aware of this from the start. Satellites that were placed by the Russians saw the wreckage, he said. Putin would have been given that information. He says Putin kept quiet because he only discovered the fate of the jet thanks to a secret spy satellite. So he's like not gonna be like, yo, I got this secret spy satellite that told me where the jet is.
Right.
He says the reason Putin did not raise his hand and march in and say we found it is because technically he would have been admitted committing espionage.
Russia probably shot that one down too.
I mean, they coulda. Like, maybe it's like, holy shit, maybe it's like a fucking Tyranid thing. And, like, these are, like, gene stealers on these planes that just, they keep trying to send, like, a plane out, like, to, like, start infecting Russia somewhere.
I believe it.
And he's, like, shooting them out of the sky to keep that from happening.
He's just got, like, 2 missile launchers. shooting bears out of them.
Holy shit, you guys see that plane?
He's like a bear
flying
with
right
a
at us.
jetpack. It's a rocket launcher that shoots a bear with a jetpack and a knife. Stabs into the plane. The official manifest says that 239 people are missing, and there were only officially 226 passengers and 12 crew, which would be 238. So, where's that extra person?
Right.
Which, another theory is that the extra person likely acted in conjunction with larger external operational support to take full command and control of the cockpit, is what this one dude says.
Yep.
It says the actual figures can differ from the transmitted on the load sheet due to last-minute changes, is what the official response to that theory is. Some people said that the pilot did it intentionally because he wanted to create the world's greatest mystery. Which, you know, that makes sense.
One that he won't be around to enjoy?
And by some people, I mean former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott. Thinks that...
Toss it.
What an ass. He's like, nah, he probably did it on purpose to make, like, a mystery or whatever.
Bet you it was Sasquatch.
Yeah. Some people think the North Koreans took it.
Just, like, yoinked that shit? Like, the plane was just flying along all hibbity-bibbity. And then this giant, like, cargo plane, like, comes out in front of it.
Has, like, a magnet dropping out. Just, like, one of those Wile E. Coyote magnets on a rope.
Oh, shit, it's North Korea!
In front of it. Oh, shit.
They got, like, a fucking stealth jet.
Fucking hilarious. It's the only one that they can afford to fuel.
Yeah.
That's how they get jet fuel, is they have to, like, steal other people's jets and just, like, siphon the fuel out of it. It's, like, the only way they can afford it.
Runs on melted steel beams.
Another idea is that, have I ever told you guys about ley lines before?
Yeah. Like magical ley lines?
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about them, Palmer?
Yes.
So, ley lines are basically energy, supposedly, like, mystical energy that crosses the world in, like, a grid pattern. And there are some places where they intersect, or where enough points of them intersect to create what are called vortex points, which are places like Stonehenge and, like, the Bermuda Triangle and, like, things like that.
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. The Bridgewater Triangle is in one of these. Like, it's basically, in these places, weird shit happens more than,
Florida.
like, everywhere else. Florida. It's kind of connected to the Bermuda Triangle, so that could work. Florida. Basically, some people think that, like, what had happened was that they, like, flew into this...
Sun.
Basically flew into this energy grid and would have been, like, abducted by aliens because, like, aliens used that energy grid to, like, refuel. So,
Yep.
Makes sense to me. Another weird coincidence is that this plane was the 404th Boeing 777 to have come off the production line, and, like...
Was it really?
Yeah. And it's like error 404, plane not found. So that's kind of weird. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
God just deleted the plane.
Yeah. He's like, delete that plane.
It just fucking... It erased itself, except for a couple flapperonis.
Other people, including the family of people who went down in the crash, think that the wreckage that was found is actually fake.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering.
Like, that...
Like they could just chisel a couple serial numbers on there and be like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, technically they coulda. Boeing... So here's my thing. Boeing works for the government, and also the government kind of works for Boeing. So it kind of makes sense to me that, like, they could have been like, alright, let's just print out another thing with the same exact serial number as this missing plane, and then we'll drop it somewhere for, like, a cover-up if they needed to. Like,
yeah.
I don't see that being a problem for them. Like, or even like making a whole nother plane with the exact same serial numbers, and then like blowing it up over the ocean somewhere, just to scatter debris. Like make like a remote control one or something.
Now that we know what, we need to know why.
Yeah, cui bono, who benefits? Apparently, there was a Malaysian diplomat who had spent years investigating the crash. Who ended up being shot dead in Madagascar's capital in an apparent assassination.
Yep. Points another finger at Madagascar.
So that's probably fine.
They've got the means.
They have memes?
He was like impaled with a banana. That's how they knew that the lemurs
Fucking
had done
lemur
it.
sniper up in the banana gun.
Eat potassium.
They just wait till like his mouth opens, and then like the curvature of the banana is just perfect so that it'll lodge in your throat and you can't get it back out. You time it right.
I was warning him about eating bananas with the peel on.
So that's what happened. It got cut and he died. So it's kind of weird that he was assassinated just days before he was due to deliver several new pieces of debris to the Malaysian Ministry of Transport.
That is very strange.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
He's like, hey everybody, I found all this debris from the missing... ah! Then he's dead.
Yeah. That's a lot more points in the cover-up book for me.
Some people say that he was killed as payback for his alleged involvement in the 2009 abduction of several residents of Indo-Pakistani descent, known collectively as Karens. However, these claims have been contested, saying no evidence of his involvement with Karens has ever been found. And apparently some people think that could be disinformation. And apparently both Malaysia and France, won't talk about this guy's death.
Yeah.
So
it's he's just ignores questions.
Yeah, they're like, nah, we don't know what you're talking about. Basically, if you're like, yeah, so this diplomat, this Malaysian diplomat was totally fucking, assassinated, and they're like, nah. They just, aren't interested in talking about it.
They just, what's their official stance, or they don't have one. They just pretend like it never happened.
Yeah, they haven't responded to it at all. So, they just kind of ignore it. They won't even say anything about it, which is weird because he was one of their diplomats. So
yeah,
you
would think they would have some sort of care about that.
Yeah,
they're like, who?
Some people think the CIA did it because apparently they're able to take control of commercial airliners such as the 777 remotely if necessary.
That Boeing did it?
Huh?
They said that Boeing did it?
The CIA did it. According to Malaysia's former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad, he wrote that he believes the CIA would know because they can... he claimed that Boeing, the plane's maker, and certain unnamed government agencies are able to take control of the commercial airliners remotely. He said, airplanes don't just disappear. Certainly not these days with all the powerful communication systems, radio and satellite tracking, and filmless cameras which operate almost indefinitely and possess huge storage capacities. For some reason, the media will not print anything that involves Boeing or the CIA.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why nobody wants to look into this or talk about the diplomat, because that's big money, a lot of powerful people involved. So the CIA just looks at him. They're like, nah, we don't know that diplomat. I'm like, he was your diplomat though. I'm like, nah, I don't know him.
There's also the chance that maybe it was from the Chinese government. Might have accidentally blown up the plane because they were trying to take it.
Oops.
Because there was an American IBM technical storage executive for Malaysia, the American IBM technical storage executive for Malaysia, who was working in like mass storage is like what he worked on, and this is like right after the like he's literally working for the company that was implicated by the Snowden papers, like where Snowden was like, this company is working to collect all information for the like NSA and stuff.
Yeah.
And this company was supposedly specifically being used by the NSA for surveilling the Chinese. And so these guys who worked on that program together, 20 of them are on a plane together at the same time, like flying somewhere. And so China might have been like, we need to find out like how much, like how deep they could have gone into our systems so that they could have a better idea of what we know. So they could have been like what's 200 lives to like take these like 20 scientists that we need, you know? And they might have just like taken them off of that plane and just let it go into the ocean. But like, fuck it, I'm taking those people.
So they would have wanted the scientists who work on which program?
It was like the mass storage. So like the guys who
from the
NSA, like it was the God, what was that called? The thing that Snowden exposed. It's like Magus or something. It's literally like some sort of silly mystical name.
So 20 people on that plane were working on that?
Yeah, all worked on that project for that company I was talking about, Freescale Semiconductor.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if it was from the same company.
Yeah, which was a division of IBM that worked on mass storage. So, like, maybe the Chinese were like, hey, like, that's 20 fucking scientists on this one plane that know about this surveillance shit. We should just grab them up.
Right.
And then, like, let the other 200 die, because China probably wouldn't give a shit about letting 200 Malaysians crash into the ocean.
No.
Some people, another theory is that HARP might have caused it to crash.
HARP?
HARP. Band? It is the, the band, did you say?
I don't know.
Because I'm like, if there's a band called HARP, I should probably listen to them. But HARP is like high altitude area research project or something like that. It's basically it's this program that the U.S. has all over the world where we have these big ass like satellite dishes that like beam high frequency radar waves into the upper atmosphere.
To what purpose?
To microwave.
Apparently
space.
To see what it does.
That's not a good reason to do it.
But like some people think that it's for like weather control shit. Like this, like to help us control the like a weather dominator.
Probably just to give everybody cancer, knowing that.
Probably, or to signal to all the like reptilian hyperfleets that are all over surrounding us at all times.
Fuckers.
Shit.
Get a load of this, you freaking reptilians.
No. So, like maybe that's another possibility. We should do a HARP episode because there's a lot of stuff about HARP.
Yeah.
I think I had it on my list before I lost my list before, so that's pretty cool. Another idea is that the plane went invisible because, according to reports, 20 employees of Freescale Semiconductor, a company that develops cloaking technology, were on board the MH370. But this is one of those companies that's like I said, they also worked on the thing for the NSA.
Yeah.
Because literally, they're a company that does everything. Like we said, they were like shadowy megacorp.
Yeah.
Is like what their job
International
was.
Business Incorporated of Engineers.
Yeah. So they're like all over the place. Somebody else named Mike Adams says that the plane's disappearance shows that, quote, some entirely new, mysterious, and powerful force is at work on our planet, which can pluck airplanes out of the sky without leaving behind even a shred of evidence.
Well, they were wrong.
He thinks that it's some sort of super weapon.
A couple flapperonis.
It left a couple flapperonis. That's a shred of evidence.
I know. That's something. Like,
debunked.
How powerful can this disintegration beam be if it left flapperonis intact?
It was only designed for a 767, not a 777.
Yeah, that's the problem. They gotta They gotta keep scaling up with airplane technology. Can't just fall behind like that.
It was a test plane. They were just testing their new amperage and didn't have it set quite right.
I believe it.
Greetings world. We are anonymous. With the disappearance of those on Malaysian Airlines MH370, billionaire Jacob Rothschild becomes the sole owner of an important semiconductor patent. Coincidence? I think not. The mystery surrounding Malaysian airliner MH370 continues to grow with each passing day, and Mr. Rothschild is smack dab in the middle. Illuminati member Rothschild is believed to have exploited the airliner to gain full patent rights of an incredible KL03 microchip. The US technological company, Freescale Semiconductor, who shared its rights with Rothschild, had 20 senior members on board, who had just launched a new electronic warfare gadget for military radar systems the day before the plane went missing. The semiconductor company develops microprocessors, sensors, and other technology, including standalone semiconductors, that perform dedicated computing functions. But the questions that arise are, why were there so many Freescale employees traveling together? What were their jobs? Their mission? And did the employees carry valuable cargo? With all the power our elite carry, why couldn't they track down the missing plane? Of the 239 people aboard flight MH370, most of them were engineers working to make the company's chip facilities in Tianjin, China, and Kuala Lumpur more efficient. These were people with a lot of experience and technical background, and they were very important people, Hawes said. It is definitely a loss for the company. Mitch Hawes, Vice President of Global Communications and Investors Relations. According to the Freescale's website, operations for the company began in 1972 and covered an 8-hectare site that tests and manufactures microprocessors, digital signal processors, and integrated radio frequency circuits. Furthermore, it owns Freescale RF, which is involved in making solutions for aerospace and defense, including battlefield communications, avionics, HF radar, band L&S, missile guidance, electronic warfare, and identification IFF. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The Freescale's shareholders include the Carlyle Group, whose past advisors have included ex-US President George Bush Sr. and former British Prime Minister John Major. Some of the company's previous clients include the construction firm owned by the family of Osama bin Laden, the Saudi bin Laden Group. What makes this claim stand out above all the other theories is the fact that so many highly qualified staff members were on board, and if the airliner crashed into the Indian Ocean, as recently reported, then this would validate the claim all the more. Considering the large passenger jet had flown undetected for 6 hours, the elites had to be involved, because they are the only ones who can accomplish such a task. According to World Truth TV, avoiding radar via cloaking technology has long been one of the objectives of the defense industry, and Freescale has been active developing chips for military radar. On its website, the company says its radio frequency products meet the requirements for applications in avionics, radar, communications, missile guidance, electronic warfare, and identification, friend or foe. The company announced that it was creating a team of specialists dedicated to producing radio frequency power products for the defense industry. They also announced it was releasing 11 of these new gadgets for use in high frequency VHF and low band UHF radar and radio communications. The company, Freescale, did not respond to questions from Express Online, including whether any of its missing employees had been working on the defense products. It neither provided any responses to the latest bizarre conspiracy theory being widely published on the comments sections of newspaper websites and other internet forums. Some comments read, "Have you pieced together the puzzle of missing Flight 370 to Beijing, China? If not, here are your missing pieces." 4 days after the flight MH370 disappearance semiconductor patent was approved by the US Patent Office. Patent is divided in parts of 20% between 5 starters. One of the owners is the company itself, Freescale Semiconductor, Austin, Texas, USA, and the other 4 Chinese employees of the company, Pidan Wang, Zijin Chen, and Liang Zijing, all the Suzhou City. And they all were passengers of Malaysia Airlines plane that disappeared on March 8th, according to Eternity. It adds, "Here is your motive for the missing Beijing plane." As all 4 Chinese members of the patent were passengers on the missing plane. Patent holders can alter the proceeds legally by passing wealth to their heirs. However, they cannot do so until the patent is approved. So when the plane went missing, the patent had not been approved. Although a Freescale patent exists under number US 8650327, none of the names listed actually appear on the passenger manifest released by the Malaysian authorities. If the patent holder dies, the other owners share equally in dividends from the deceased. If 4 of the 5 patentees die, then the patentee left alive gets 100% of the patent. That remaining patent holder is the company Freescale Semiconductor. Who owns Freescale Semiconductor? The answer is Jacob Rothschild. British billionaire owns the company Blackstone, which in turn owns the company Freescale Semiconductors. Several speculations on the internet now are paying attention to this circumstance. The Rothschilds are a dynasty of financiers and international bankers of German Jewish origin. The family is from the 19th century, one of the most influential families of bankers and financiers of Europe. Is this just another coincidence? I don't think so. Rothschild is hiding evidence to gain the rights to this semiconductor. He wants power, and he wants his money. It may have taken 239 deaths to do it, but to him, that is just part of population control. In the end, he gets his money, his fame, and his power. All while the world remains silent. Or so they thought. Time to expose this fraud for who he really is. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. To all Rothschild's bloodline. We will be hunting all of you. Expect that.
So, this one I have here, is honestly what made me want to do this episode this week, which is, so earlier this month, this dude gets on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, so I just got a weird voicemail sent to my phone from like an unknown number. Mm-hmm. And so he like shared it to Twitter because he's like, does anybody know what this voicemail might be? Mm-hmm. So what he does is he like hits play on his voicemail and records it with video, like so that people can see like him push play on the voicemail and play it to the microphone. And the voicemail is as follows.
Sierra, Delta, Alpha, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Oscar, Sierra, India, Tango, India, Sierra, Delta, India, Romeo, Echo, Foxtrot, Oscar, Romeo, Yankee, Oscar, Uniform, Tango, Oscar, Echo, Victor, Alpha, Charlie, Uniform, Alpha, Tango, Echo, Bravo, Echo, Charlie, Alpha, Uniform, Tango, India,
think of that so far, Palmer?
What does it spell out?
Oh, yeah? So, Palmer's already caught onto it, and I was thinking it too when I heard it.
I mean, it's the phonetic alphabet.
Yeah, it's the NATO phonetic alphabet, which basically each of those words like that, like Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, like all of those stand for a letter.
Yep.
And so when you decode this with that letter, it literally using that cipher, like the NATO phonetic alphabet or whatever. I guess it's the opposite of a cipher because it's supposed to be universally understood.
Right.
So it literally translates to danger, SOS. It is dire for you to evacuate. Be cautious. They are not human. SOS, danger, SOS. And then gives a whole bunch of numbers, which people, of course, thought coordinates, like when they heard that. And when you put the coordinates into Google Maps, it ends up coming out to right off the coast of Africa, like where the wreckage from that plane was found. Like the little bit of wreckage that we found.
So coordinates where the wreckage are saying they're not human.
Yeah.
Danger.
So this guy, his name is Straight Away. His real name is Ty. He got like that message and like decoded it and everything. And after he posted about it on Twitter, other people started saying, "Yeah, I got weird voicemails too." That said kind of the same stuff. Like a transcript from one of the other messages was, "This is not a test. This is not a joke. Over the past several years, we've been wanting to send an automated voice message to people who understand and are not afraid. One message at a time will make many know the truth. The truth that other biological beings have been walking the supreme creation that sustains life, Earth. But as chaos comes to your planet, we must show ourselves to prove that there are different ways to keep peace. Many do not agree with what we say, so they may hunt us down. We will make ourselves known to the best of our utmost capabilities. Clear your airspace for safe consequences." And this guy himself, Straight Away, started getting messages sent to him in, like, Indonesian. Like, people were sending him messages in, like, the Indonesian language, which are, like, remove the post that you have put up. Or, like, delete the post with the message. Like, things like that is, like, what he's getting sent to him. This one was sent to him in Morse code, which said, "The message received is well related to Stephen Hawking's death. You are not ready to face them." Is what he got. And some people have, like, further speculated looking into this stuff. They've seen, they've been able to figure out, like, a date that was given in one of, like, the Malaysian messages, which is, like, April 18th of 2018. So they're like, that means that's the date for the end of the world. It's the date that the aliens are showing up and stuff like that. And I thought that was kind of dope. Because, like, what it could be, what people were speculating is that the message that he's getting is actually the transmission from the black box of the plane. So it's actually, like, the last message that the pilot sent out before they went down.
And he's the only person to get that message?
So a few people have gotten messages like that.
But they're all different.
Yeah, I think they're all different.
And they just get, like, voicemails?
Yeah, it's like a voicemail from a number that you don't, like an unknown number.
Like a private number?
Yeah. So...
How would a black box, like, send that out to a phone number?
So the day this guy received that voicemail, there had been an increase in solar activity. So there had been, like, more solar flares than usual. So people were like, maybe the solar flare helped amplify the signal from that black box. And just by, like, happenstance, it ends up on this dude's cell phone. Same signal as this guy's cell phone signal.
Yeah.
It comes through on his voicemail. So maybe?
No.
I don't know how any of that shit works. So I'm not a cell phone scientist.
I'm not a sun god, but I don't think that's how solar flares work.
So solar flares have been known to take like ham radio signals, and they'll amplify those so that they go even further than normal and things like that. Like some radio signals, they can do that too. I don't know how a cell phone signal would be able to connect with a radio signal.
Yeah.
I don't know how those can like mesh and become the same thing.
Does the solar flare cook the ham radio? Or is it raw?
It makes bacon.
You gotta eat your ham radios raw.
Raw. No sauce.
Raw.
Boiled over hard.
Raw sauce.
Ski.
Skid bop.
It's not hot.
Sugar pa. So, Palmer, what do you think about this mystery?
Is it the greatest mystery in the history of the world?
I think the aliens did it.
Yeah.
That is what the messages say.
I mean, there's evidence.
Why do you think the aliens would have taken the plane?
Well, I don't think they took it.
Oh.
I think they blew it up with that gun that you were talking about earlier.
The like disintegration gun
Yeah.
that left the flapperonis intact.
Yeah.
Could be possible. Maybe it's a really narrow beam, so it just killed like the like fuselage, just like cut it in half like a samurai sword, just all the way down the middle. Hajime. Like I saw fucking Outlaw Star. That chick cut a bus in half. Like the bus came at her and she's like whoop, and slides in half around her.
Miss me with that bus.
Miss me with that bus. So it's possible. What do you think? What do you think happened, Ryan?
So I think that the 20 scientists on the plane were on that plane because they knew that aliens were coming and they're going to try and abduct the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they made the plane go invisible to dodge the aliens.
Okay.
And then left a warning in that area so that no one else would get, attacked by aliens. So we all need to thank them for helping us out with that alien problem.
So you think this might actually be the signal from the black box of the plane?
No, I think there's all sorts of crooked theories out there because it all really has to do with probably money.
Yeah.
As things always do. So I think it definitely has to do with that company, China, or I'm also toying with maybe the idea of the fact that there was a lot of calligraphers on that plane. What do we really know about like black market calligraphy? Like,
I know that in
what is calligraphy?
It's like real fancy letters.
I know that in Inuyasha, that
writing.
guy had like all the stickers with the calligraphy on it, and
Uh-huh.
he'd cast spells.
Yes.
Whenever he'd like stick them to
I think
things.
it might be dealing with like possible Death Note kind of situation.
That could be it.
No, I'm thinking it's definitely something to do with China and the NSA. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly enough about it to extrapolate that, but I think that's where that makes the most sense to me, that it would deal with just money.
Me too. Like, I would say it was just an accident and that, like, something went wrong with the plane and it crashed in the ocean.
Yeah,
But
I want to say that too, but there's just so much other weird things about it.
Yeah, like my biggest... I have a couple of big problems with that. One is that 6 hours later, the plane was still automatically responding.
Right.
And you would think that if it crashed, it would have stopped responding. And also, my other thing is the fact that diplomat guy was murdered.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of weird.
That's what really made me start to think that, like, it's definitely tied up in Boeing, the NSA, China, the U.S.
Yeah.
It's like high-level stakes kind of stuff.
I think that probably China took the plane, or took the passengers that they wanted.
Or they were going to take the plane.
Or, they tried to take the plane
And the
and
NSA
then
was
shot
like,
it down.
yeah, exactly.
To keep them from taking the plane.
Diego Garcia or something.
Yeah. That makes sense. If, China was like, hey, we're going to take this plane, and we're like, hell no, you're not.
Over all
Because
of
it
our
was,
dead
right
bodies.
by our fucking military base.
Yep.
Could have scrambled a couple fighter jets and shot it out of the air before they got to it.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yo, Boeing, do us a solid. toss a couple pieces
Yeah.
out there with like visible serial numbers on them.
Yeah.
And don't tell anybody about this. And China's not going to talk about it because it's an embarrassment. And we're not going to talk about it because we just killed 200 innocent people.
Yeah, and France is our ally, so we can just tell them not to talk about, the diplomat.
And then this diplomat guy finds out about it, and so they're like, snuff this motherfucker. Like, because it's like one dude in Malaysia, so they're like, don't let him start fucking talking about this shit.
Yep.
Because when it's one guy in Malaysia, it's easier to snuff him out than when it's like a couple, like 100 people.
Just pay off a lemur to...
Yeah, pay off a lemur with a box cutter to like get him while he was sleeping. He was shot, so I don't know what he was shot with, but...
Banana.
Yeah, banana gun. Banana launcher. What was the thing in Donkey Kong? He had a coconut launcher, didn't he? In Donkey Kong Country?
I think so.
Donkey Kong 64? So... Yeah, my personal theory is that it was probably the Chinese, for sure.
Yeah.
I like the idea of aliens, but
it's pretty dope. But
it does seem like it would be related to China, the CIA, and this company.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that like we would shoot down a plane like that before China got their hands on it.
Absolutely.
I absolutely think that we would. I don't think for a second that the U.S. would be like, oh no, there's 200 people on that plane. I don't think.
No.
I don't think if it was like the choice between that or China having access to how we encrypt all our files, I think we would probably blow up the plane.
Absolutely.
So, I think it is more likely that it's connected to China personally, even though the logical explanation is it just crashed. It just feels wrong to me.
Yeah, like why would it fly in the wrong direction for so many hours?
Yeah, it like literally did a U-turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh shit, are those Chinese fighter jets, and turns the other way, and then they like get next to it, and the other plane comes down, and they have like Bane jump out with the fucking buzzsaw and cuts open the side of the plane.
Yep.
Starts trying to pull out scientists, and then we just shoot them all out of the air off the coast of Africa.
Is that Bane? I ain't fucking around with that shit.
I mean, who fucking knows? Like, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting mystery.
Yeah.
But I really do think it's probably China somehow.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys for listening this week. This is fucking dope. Hopefully the new cover art is on this episode, and hopefully you guys dig that. If you do dig that, we have merch for sale now at weirdshitpodcast.threadless.com.
Allegedly.
We got like t-shirts.
Smash that buy button.
We got like tank tops and shit. You can also donate to our Patronus. Hopefully one day we can get actual audio equipment with this, and that would be fucking dope. You can follow us on Twitter at WeirdShitPod. You can email us at weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your paranormal stories, all that kind of cool shit. Also, I'm trying to keep up with our YouTube page now. On our YouTube channel, we should have every episode except for whatever the newest episode is, and I'll always put up new ones on Wednesdays. But it should help you guys keep track of, help share the show and shit like that easier. Also, all the videos I made have like dope pictures that are related to whatever the topic is that we talked about. So that shit should be cool.
Certifiably dope.
Certifiably dope. So, Palmer, you got a shout out this week?
No.
No? What about you, Ryan? You got a shout out this week?
Yeah, my shout out this week is to the Netflix show Requiem.
Requiem?
Yeah, it's
what's Requiem?
Requiem it's like a 6 1-hour episode miniseries type show, and it's got some paranormal stuff in it. It's basically a mystery. Highly recommend it. It's a little slow to get started, but it's got pretty good payoff. It's only 6 episodes, so I recommend it.
Oh, okay. That actually sounds really dope.
And it's got some really cool lore in it, like a lot of paranormal stuff with a pretty decent mystery.
Cool.
The main character is awful, but the rest of it's really good.
Yeah. Like, I've been watching, what's it called? Fucking Wild Country on Netflix. It's about the Bhagwan Rajneesh, or whatever his name was. It's kind of a...
The what's it?
Like, Bhagwan Rajneesh, or something like that is the guy's name.
Rakanishu?
He's like the cult leader I talked about in our cults episode. That like literally he and a bunch of like dudes move in and then make a fucking town in Oregon and start fighting with this other town. And it's a really interesting story. Like trying to figure out if he and his like second in command actually believe the shit they're spewing or not.
Right.
So you're like, it's pretty dope.
Yeah.
My shout outs this week are to Chris Winchell, Charles Lane, Maximilian Fierros, Liz Dillinger, Rebecca Adams, and Elias Holsinger, because they are our current patrons on Patreon.
Thank you all.
And it's really fucking dope that they believe in the show and they like are willing to help put anything towards that. That's fucking cool.
That is awesome.
So thank you guys again. Thank you, Fiona, for being the first person to buy one of our t-shirts. That's really fucking cool. I hope you get it, and I hope you like it. Make sure to send us a picture if you do. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Man, that episode was dope. You know what else would be dope? If you guys told us your paranormal stories. I know some of you have seen ghosts, some of you have seen fucking UFOs, some of you have seen Bigfoot. If you write into us, we have an email. It is weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. We really want to read you guys' emails. If you want to just give us a shout out, you can give us a shout out. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to record a voice message, I want to start putting voice shout outs at the beginning of every episode now. So if you send us those, that would be fucking dope. We have the Google Voice number. If you'd rather call up and leave us a voicemail, you can tell us your story that way. Send us some positivity, man. Keep the positivity coming. It's the number for that is 919-346-3071. That's 919-346-3071. We also have a Facebook group, the Weird Shit Podcast official Facebook group. We're on there all the time. We're posting memes. We want to talk to you guys. Fucking tweet at us. Fucking Facebook us. Fucking email us, man, because we love to hear from you and we want to keep doing this forever.
Hello, my darlings. I'm Sammy, the host of Encrypted. Every 2 weeks, I will bring you stories of mystery, true crime, and creepy. You can find me on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have a story? I would love to hear it. You can go to the Encrypted Podcast discussion group on Facebook. On Twitter, you can find us at EncryptedPod. Or you can go to accproductions.org/encrypted. Don't forget to lock your doors and hold tight to your flashlight.
Hey guys, I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe. And
we are the
Fringe Boys.
The hosts of Cast into the Fringe, a weekly dive into time travel,
aliens,
conspiracies,
nerdy virgins,
and many other strange things the government doesn't want you to know.
Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Cast into the Fringe.
And check out our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
Hi, this is Jim.
And this is Annabelle.
Together, we bring you the Forgotten News Podcast.
We tell true stories from long ago. Stories from before you were born. Stories that made headlines for a week or a month, then vanished just as suddenly. We look for these long-lost stories, then brush off the dust and share them with you, as fresh as the day they were first told.
One thing we definitely promise you, the stories you will hear will always be a surprise, and it will be a true story.
It might be a crime story. It might be a strange or spooky story. It might be a funny story.
If you are someone who might like to hear lost stories like these, then you should definitely listen to the Forgotten News podcast.
The Forgotten News podcast is available on iTunes, also known as Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Play, Podbay, Player FM, and nearly every app for listening to podcasts.
I don't know what else to say, except be sure to listen to the Forgotten News podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Steven.
And this is Chris.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Is This Adulting?
Every week, we're going to sit down to have a discussion about life, culture, our own mental health struggles, and just about anything you can think of.
Have you ever wondered which breakfast cereal's the best?
Or how to help your friends who are dealing with mental illness?
Or why waterbeds were a thing?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, then have we got a show for you.
And remember, kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know, they might just be starting a podcast.
Oh, hey there. I didn't see you. I'm Sarah, the host of the Salty Canadian podcast. If you want a podcast that is full of fun, rants, reviews, and just random stuff, then this is a podcast for you. We can be found on any podcast catcher, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and have a great day. Eh?
Hey everybody, Mike here. I just want to take a second to talk to you about our Patreon we have set up at www.patreon.com/weirdshitpodcast. Basically, Patreon is a way where fans and listeners like yourselves can choose an amount every month to donate towards the show. Your donations will be put towards buying new equipment. It'll be put towards buying munchies because fucking Palmer is insatiable. It'll be put towards helping us pay our dues for hosting the show and for keeping the websites going. And honestly, the main thing it'll help us do is let me take more time to do more research on these topics. I have a full-time job. I work 60 hours a week, and then I spend 40 hours doing research for you guys because I love this show and I want to give you the best thing I possibly can. So if you have anything you want to give us, if you think we deserve anything for that work, feel free to go to Patreon and donate whatever you can. If not, man, it's cool. Like, I love every single one of you, and I'm so glad you're listening. Just share the show with whoever you think would be interested, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.